See which one works. Hi, Gary. How are you? Hi. I feel like I'm sitting in a hole.
I ain't got nobody to holler
I
at me
look like
now.
I'm.
Joni?
I have you on remote control intimidation, Gary.
Oh, okay. I thought you might have given lessons to Lorinda.
Lorinda doesn't need any lessons.
Morning, Johnny. I left a spot here for you.
You did?
Yeah,
All
see,
right. Don't
left
put your
a
stuff.
space.
Don't put your stuff on it.
Yeah. No, I won't. Maybe out there.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
I never know which clock to watch.
Watch the one on your iPad.
Yeah, because it's, what, atomic?
Yeah, it's set.
No, I've got one here. I've got one here. Thank you.
The atomic clock.
Yeah, this too, on your iPad.
I just picked the clock and that's the one I stayed with.
Yeah. Our first item on the agenda this morning is approval for the agenda. Pam, would you like to?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Please excuse my lack of voice. This morning we will be pulling the timed item for 10 a.m., the timed item for 11:15, item number 4, 7, 9M as in Mary, item 10, 12 through 18, actually through 19. Item 22. 23B. 24. 26 through 33. We will have closed session for both labor and legal.
And did you mean to pull 28? Are we having a?
We have planning, don't we?
I'm sorry. No, I did not mean to pull 28.
Put it back.
Did we not pull
28 is not pulled.
20?
8.
You did pull awards? Is your number 4?
Yeah.
Well, I do have awards to hand out at 1:30 if anybody's here, so, for the Front Valley High School girls soccer team.
Okay.
So
We didn't
we
have
could
it-
pull the
we didn't
item,
have
but
it scheduled. Okay.
they could not come in until 1:30, so if anybody is available at that time and would like to participate, I would appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 3, which is approval of the minutes for the Board of Commissioners meeting for January 17th. Commissioner Hollis, do you have anything?
None.
Commissioner Boraski?
No, but I do believe I'll have some comments under Commissioner Management.
Okay, I'll let you know when we get there. Commissioner Shenhofen?
Nothing.
How about Commissioner Easley?
No, thank you.
Motion to.
Actually, I
Oh,
do.
sorry. Go ahead.
On item number 6, it's page 3, January 17th, the first paragraph. It says Jan Bravehound. I think her name, if you'll check back, was Brabham, Brabham.
It's Brabham.
Brabham,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, spelling's correct, I wasn't sure how to pronounce it. On, no, that's all I have. Yeah.
Motion to approve with correction stated.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. We'll go on to announcements. Commissioner Hollis.
I have none. Oh, wait, I do have one. I'd like to announce that we're having a poker tournament for Veteran Service Office at the Prompt Nugget on March 11th. And it opens, the doors open at 12 o'clock.
Thank you. Commissioner Boraski?
None at this time.
Commissioner Shinholfen?
Nothing, thank you.
Commissioner Easley?
Thank you.
Jonah, you broke up on that. Do you have announcements?
No, I sure don't. Thank you.
Okay. We're going to move into our first general public comment at this time, and I have some people who would like to speak. And this is limited basically to three-minute time limit per person. I haven't been adhering to that too strongly, and since we only have 4 people who are wishing to speak, if you'd like to come forward, the first people I have are Kathy Welch, Chauncey Chancellor. We'll do 2 at a time since there's 2 seats up there. And Fred and Virginia, you'll be next. Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
My name is Kathy Welsh, capital W-E-L-S-H. Good morning.
My name is Chauncey Chancellor, C-H-A-N-S-L-E-R.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
My name is Kathy Welsh. I am a 15-year resident of Pahrump. I have been visually impaired since birth. I am a member of the Nevada Council of the Blind. We have over 40 members and still growing. We come to you asking you to please solve our transportation problems in our community. Pahrump has been known for years as a great retirement town. We who are blind and visually impaired don't have the money to pay for taxis, and some of us are paying neighbors outrageous money for rides. With the population of Pahrump getting older and the number of blind and visually impaired increasing, this has turned into a real crisis. People aren't able to get to the store to buy groceries or even fill a prescription in a timely manner. The streets in Pahrump have not been constructed for pedestrians to use. The blind and visually impaired don't dare venture out on their own because we only have a few sidewalks and very few crosswalks marked for us to get through traffic. We have to run for our lives if we try it. Even fully sighted people are in danger trying to get across some of these streets. We come to you because you were elected to solve these problems. County commissioners before you have tried to solve these issues but have failed. Now is the time to come together as a team to tackle and resolve these problems. And I'd like to leave you with one thought. What if you yourselves became blind or legally blind and had these transportation issues? Wouldn't you rather they be solved now than at the time of your disability? And I would be available to assist you any way I can. I can be reached at 775-751-8198 or 775-513-0604. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Chauncey?
Good morning. We need transportation in the town of Pahrump.
Madam Chair, she needs to turn the mic on.
Her mic's on, she just needs to direct it towards her
How do I do that?
face. Just pull it down.
There you go.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where was I? As a visually handicapped person, I have strived all my life to maintain an independent lifestyle. However, without transportation, I must depend on family and friends for shopping, doctor's appointments, job interviews. Again, even if I maintained a job, no transportation. Without transportation, we become so dependent that we tend to sit at home and do absolutely nothing. If we could get the town of Pahrump to entertain the idea of doing something soon rather than later to make this possible, please tell us how we can help make this happen. Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I address the speaker? I just happened to be working on a transportation committee here in the Pahrump Valley through Nye Communities Coalition. I'm going to be going in front of the town board in the near future, and then I will also be coming in front of this board to discuss that possibility, what it would take, how it could be funded and whatnot. So if you'd like to leave me your name and number, I would be glad to contact you, and you can become part of our board if you would like.
I would like.
And I have it here,
You have,
and I have your phone number,
you
so,
have one, but you don't have Chauncey's yet.
okay.
It's 775-764-1384.
1384,
Correct.
and your first name?
Chauncey, Chauncey.
Right here.
Okay. I will be in touch with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Next is Fred and Virginia Slunt. Am I pronouncing that correctly? S-L-U-N-T? And then Lewis. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Virginia Slunt. My husband and I are residents here in Pahrump. His name is Fred Slunt. He's a chaplain over at Desert View Hospital and also pastor of Beatty Baptist Church. He's going to speak for me this morning. Thank you.
Yes, my wife is blind, and that's why I'm part of this group also. I'm here today to speak for the NCB here in Pahrump, and I want to talk about safety issues on our streets for our visually impaired and blind. Most of our blind and visually impaired are legally blind and cannot drive, but can see well enough to get dropped off at a location and have to walk from location to location. And most of the blind are lucky if they could see more than 25 feet in front of them. That is good enough to walk with a stick, but not good enough to see a car coming as they attempt to cross the street. They need help that only you, the commissioners, can provide for them. Even if it's a sign to make aware of the blind in the area, the blind and visually impaired in the area. But more awareness would be fantastic, to say the least, and would be a great start. We have our own group in Pahrump. We're the National Council of Blind Pahrump chapter. We have around 40 to 45 members, and there's a lot more in the area that we're trying to get to come to our meetings so we can be assistance to them. My wife is one of the lucky ones because her and I are always together, and so she has my help, but there's a lot of others that don't have any help at all, just like you had heard recently or before me. Most of our shut-ins are blind are shut-ins because they don't want to go out on the streets because they're afraid to walk on the streets because there's no awareness of them around. We also live in Beatty. We stay in the parsonage up there 5 days a week, but we own our home here. And I see no signs of anything kind of awareness up there either. And that town is more condensed than Pahrump, so them and out-of-towners are coming through there, and there's no way they know there's any blind in that town walking in the streets. So that needs to be addressed also. It's becoming a real safety issue for those that need to get around, because they need to get out too, because they have a life of their own and they need a better quality of life. So they need to get around on their own and feel like they're doing something for themselves. And it's hard to do because there's no blind transportation here. They need to be picked up, and they need to have an assistance as they walk through the stores or whatever to help them get moving around in the stores. Some people are lucky, like my wife, she knows the stores pretty well, and she's got a little bit of sight in one eye, but that's about it. She can't drive or anything. In the town of Pahrump, and I believe all 9 county, there are no signs or no crosswalk signals anywhere on these streets. Matter of fact, there's not too many stoplights in this town. But we need, for you as commissioners, to put up some signage somewhere, making people aware as they come into our town and throughout the town that there are blind people. So we're asking you as commissioners to consider these requests to make our town more safety. I would not like to see what would happen to our town if one of our blind people or visually impaired people got run over, got hurt, got killed at the worst. And because they didn't have proper protection or notification that there were blind in the area. The blind and visually impaired have a real need, and they must be addressed for safety reasons. We hope and we pray that these safety issues are as important to you as they are to us. And thank you for listening to me, and thank you for your consideration.
Madam Chair, may I address the speaker? Could you get in touch with me later today or tomorrow, and I'll talk to you about this issue?
Sure.
If I can have the addresses of the people that are blind,
Okay.
I could ask the road department to put up signage, or the town or somebody.
That'd be great. Yeah.
And I'd be glad to talk to you also about transportation issues.
You have a card around?
You can try to contact the Pahrump Senior Center.
Yeah.
They do provide rides for individuals,
Yeah.
handicapped and whatnot, so,
Excuse me, may I say something? The senior center will not.
Ma'am, you're not on the record.
you're not on the record if you don't come up and speak on the microphone, please.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. I'm sorry, but the senior center does not provide transportation for anybody, handicapped or not, if you're under 60 years old. I know that for a fact because I have gone round and round with Dawn, myself, the transportation coordinator, at the senior center over this issue, because a lot of people in our group are under 60 years old, me included. And I have been trying ever since I moved to Pahrump to have transportation available to me. If it wasn't for my mom, I'd be walking.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll contact all of you after later, tomorrow or something.
Okay.
And try to meet with you and try to get this issue resolved with the senior center, and
Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
Any
Mr.
help
Hollis,
is
I'm sure
very
he would.
greatly appreciated.
help me with that.
Thank you.
Absolutely, Commissioner Bobrowski, maybe me and you will sit down with the senior center and see if we can't resolve this issue. It's amazing, Madam Chairman, that we can go out and spend $500 million on a pack rat. We can spend $1 billion on the desert tortoise, but we have a problem with and the sage grouse. I mean, we can spend all this money studying these endangered species, plants and animals, but we can't take care of the blind.
Yes, exactly. Okay, Okay, we have one more public comment, and that is Louis Canio.
Morning. My name is Louis DeCanio. It's DeCanio. And I've been a Pahrump resident for 9 years now. My comment today concerns the terrible economy and lack of jobs we have here in Pahrump. I'm not here today to blame anyone for the bad economy, but I am a former businessman, and I'd like to offer a few suggestions which I feel will help our local economy. I'm sure you're all well aware of the fact the state of Nevada has one of the highest foreclosure rates and highest unemployment rates in the country. Livable wage jobs is the engine that keeps the economy running smoothly. When people have jobs, then they're able to pay their mortgage, feed their families, and spend their money locally, which in turn creates a cycle of money and taxes which keep all the local businesses running smoothly. As a former businessman, I know the first year of a new business is very difficult, both mentally and financially. And if I would have been required to pay impact fees, then I would not have been able to open my business, which in turn would have meant that people I did employ would not have had jobs, and no taxes would have been paid by anyone. In business, if you have the only game in town, then you can make the rules, no matter how outrageous they are. But when you have competition, then you must offer the best deal so that you're chosen and not your competitors. And since many businesses have the opportunity to choose between Pahrump, Las Vegas, and North Las Vegas, we must give new business some incentive to choose Pahrump over our competition. We must eliminate the impact fees and streamline the...
Point of order, Madam Chairman. Impact fees are on the agenda and are at a later time, and you should discuss it at that time, Louis.
At that time?
Yes.
45.
We have it on the agenda today. You're limited to discussion, not on the agenda. So,
Oh,
okay, under your public comment. All
okay.
right? Be glad to address it when it comes up.
Thank
I'll
you very
be
much,
here.
Louis.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to move on to number 8, which is the Commissioner Manager's comments, and I'm going to start
We
this.
had another gentleman in the...
Yeah, Butch invited me to speak just real briefly.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
I'm
didn't
not
have a
on the
form for you.
roster, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Doug Laughlin, Laughlin. I'm a new owner of a business in town and also a new member of the Chamber of Commerce. My business name is Clearview Window Washing Service. Windows so clean you'll think they're open. I specialize in residential, but I also will do commercial. I am licensed, bonded, and insured. I do windows, screens, solar screens, tracks, porch lights, ceiling fans, mirrors, glass doors. I also offer pressure washing services for garages, sidewalks, driveways, and I only charge $5 per window. That's inside and out. Spring's coming, so if anybody needs their windows done, I could sure use the business. I'd also like to thank Butch for inviting me here to speak. And I'd also like to personally invite the commissioners to my grand opening and ribbon cutting, which will be April 10th. It's a lunch barbecue, and it will be held at the Artesia Clubhouse.
Oh, food, okay.
Yeah.
We got it.
Excellent. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Madam Chair, I did ask the gentleman to come in and speak, and I apologize. I thought he would seek me out and get information on the agenda for him, but that's okay. We do have another business in town as well. It takes care of old computers, radios, TVs, and things like that.
Would you like me to-
Unfortunately, I don't have their name handy to disclose that right at this moment, and I'll do it at a later date.
Okay, let's move on to item number 8, which is comments and managers.
Okay.
Okay?
Uh,
Commissioner.
I really think that new businesses coming in and introducing themselves is very, very helpful to me.
Yes,
I kind of like them to come and tell me, and at least I know the businesses there and what businesses are coming here. It's a lot of information that we don't have unless we go out and seek it. So thank you for coming and introducing yourself. That's very helpful to me.
do you have any additional comments, Gary, while we're on?
No, I have a trip. I have to go to the NTWRB and New Mexico this month, and it'll be on nuclear waste, so I'll be able to give you some information when I get back.
I appreciate that. I'd like to go to Pam. Do you have any comments on the agenda or on the that you want to make this morning before I go on with the commissioners?
No.
No? Okay. Commissioner Eastley?
I only have a follow-up question for Pam. Pam, at the last meeting, I asked where the proceeds from the spay-neuter license plates were going. Did you ever find out?
Yes, it goes into an account, a revenue account in the general fund for that.
Okay. Any idea what those revenues have been?
In the hundreds, very small.
Yeah, I have to admit, I've never even seen any of the plates. Thank you very much. That's it.
You're welcome.
Okay, Commissioner Shinhofen?
Thank you. Pam, you got this Demi Moore thing going on this morning. No, my wife got the same thing 2 days ago. So I spent Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at a desert tortoise symposium along with Daryl. I found it very informative. I should limit my comments probably, but the only thing that kept me there was Lao Tzu, know your enemy. It seems like they'll only be happy when we all vacate the desert. They'd like to democratize the power grid, which basically is give it to the government to run all the power companies. So they're very organized, a very organized group. And every time they railed against special interest groups, I couldn't help but think they're one of them. So there's really nothing else to tell there. I think you know what their plans are. Their plans are to don't do anything with any public lands for future generations. And in the meantime, stop anything that's happening. It's okay to spend public dollars on solar projects, but they don't want to spend any public lands on solar projects. That's how I spent my weekend. It was informative. Other things.
Our condolences, Commissioner Shinhofen.
You've been to these, I know. You had to sit through some of this. But it was educational. Next meeting, we should have the fireworks thing up for discussion. The fireworks, how to change that if the board is amenable to allowing people to buy them locally and use them. That'll be on the agenda for anybody who's interested. I'm sure I had a lot of other things, and deprivation of sleep has made me forget. So I will turn it over.
Commissioner Boraski?
Yes. Steve, could you come up to the microphone for a minute, please? I have a question for you. Pam, the policy manual, I talked about this earlier, to bring something back on that. There was never a definitive decision made on elections of officers. Can we get that back on the agenda to clear that up? It was even the DA said it was very, very unclear.
Yes, we are working on that.
okay.
That's why you haven't seen it come back yet, but we have not forgotten it. It's on our
All right.
to-do
And then,
list.
thank you. Steve, on the sign ordinance, how's things going on that? Are you getting them tagged? A lot of people are asking, so I need to follow up on that.
Well, first we're waiting for the complaint forms to be completed and filled out, because we can't do anything until we get a complaint form. I'm not sure that we've received any yet.
Is there anything that holds employees back from bringing you complaint forms?
I don't believe so.
This is Darrell Lacey, LACY. This is primarily a code enforcement issue, which doesn't report to Steve, so maybe I can answer your question a little better. Code enforcement primarily operates off of a complaint-driven system, and we have volunteer groups that have offered to help us identify those. We're very short-staffed in that group right now. One of our employees is off on maternity leave. We only have 2 employees in that group, so we're kind of shorthanded right now, but we do have complaints coming in, and we will start working through the process. We have had discussions with BLM, NDOT, and the Public Works Department on trying to get the identification of these processes, and the first priority, I think, for all of us is probably 160 coming into Pahrump, where most of the visitors see and where we got most of the complaints so far. So it's working its way through the current code enforcement process.
In the ordinance, or somewhere I read in there, that there was a gray area about billboards not being maintained. Are you going to work with the DA's office to try to get something put into the ordinance to cover that? Because we've got a bunch of those monsters out there that look like you know what.
Yes, we'll be working with the DA's office on trying to identify any changes that might be required. At some of these, though, they can just actually operate under the existing code enforcement process. If we get a complaint on one of them, then we can actually notify the owners, and if we can't find the owners, some of these we're not totally certain if the owner is still around. On a couple of these I'm aware of that are poorly maintained, so we're
Okay, then basically you're only going to be working off complaints then. You're not going to be going out.
That's our current code enforcement process, is it's complaint driven.
Okay.
And so that's.
You don't need to go any farther. Okay, thank you. I got one bit of news coming up that Dieter and Workforce Connections, I believe, are going to merge into one organization. They have done it in other states, other rural states, and there's a lot of talk about it right now. Keep the board up to date on that. We do get a lot of funding to Nye Communities Coalitions and other organizations in Nye County from Workforce Connections and Dieter. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens when they merge with it. If it's going to be a loss to us in the rural counties here. And I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. I only have a couple, this is a question. Lorena, I sent you a history concerning where I'd gotten the information from on the Washoe County ordinance
Yes.
that I thought might be beneficial. Did you receive that, and is it
I
helpful?
did, and I think I found the one that you were referring to, but I was going to call them and
Okay.
ask them for sure.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. During the Public Lands and Natural Resources meeting last week, we had a presentation that was given to us by Bob Budd and Temple Stevenson. They are both out of Wyoming. And Bob Budd is their National Natural Resources Director, and they are working on the sage grouse issue in Wyoming as well. They have a habitat restoration plan for the sage grouse that was designed by the people. It was signed by their governor, and it received approval from the Secretary of the Interior, Ken Salazar. I realize that we are not exactly like Wyoming. Where is Daryl? There he is. I'm just looking at you. You don't need to come up. I'm just telling you. We are not like Wyoming. We have definite differences. However, I believe there are pieces that we can use without reinventing the wheel. So please keep an eye on that if you get an opportunity. And I have information for contacts for them that I will email you. Okay?
It might also be worthwhile for you and I to meet with NDOW on this to
Yes.
see how we can coordinate with them on this, because I know they have taken the lead on a lot of the.
Well, they are in
Safe.
direct contact with Bob Budd through Ken Meyer. Okay? The only other thing I have is that I received an email this morning on the naming of Bear Paw Lake in Railroad Valley. Honey sent me out that email. We need to get that on the agenda so we can get a letter back to them, back to the State Board of Geographic
Madam
Naming.
Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, I think we all got that letter, and my recommendation on that would be to, what's the closest town board there?
That's
Round Mountain?
Railroad Valley. It's not a.
Oh,
no.
Railroad Valley, I'm sorry. I think that we need to get the tribe involved there and see if they have a problem with that name.
Yes.
And maybe some of the residents.
That'd be no problem at all, Joni. I
Yeah.
intended to call them on it, but we still need to get it on the agenda so that they can have a letter back before May. At least for this board to decide whether or not we're gonna even offer a letter of support, or we don't like it, or sorry, the town didn't respond. But we need to respond in one manner or another. I just want to make sure it got on the agenda. That's all I had. Let's move on to the consent agenda items. There's been one polled items on the consent that the commissioners would like to hold for discussion.
I'd like to pull 9M. Is that the one you pulled, Pam?
Actually, it's been pulled from
Okay,
the agenda.
and 9P is in Paul.
That's the one I wanted to, so.
Anything for you, Gary?
I'm good.
You're good? You good? Commissioner Eastley?
Fine.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve 9B, D through L, N and O.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Passes 5-0. We move on to the item 9P is in Paul, and I believe you're the one that had that pulled, Commissioner Brown?
Yes, that's something I requested. Daryl, could we get one more whereas in there with a reference to we are a sister county or close proximity? I'd appreciate that if you could get something in there with that language in it.
Okay, I understand what you're saying then. Okay.
Commissioner Shinholfen, did you have?
Was that all, Commissioner Brash?
Yeah, that's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair, if I could. Yeah, there's I thought it was on this item. Oh, I got M again. I'm sorry. P. There's a letter attached also. And if Commissioner Boraski has no objections, I'd like to ask the board that we have all our names on it, so it looks like we're all on the same page.
Well, as many as want to sign it, I'd appreciate it.
I'd like to. And I'm glad this came back quickly. Glad we're doing something to support it because they have a lot of enemies against it. Center for Biological Diversity, Western Watershed Projects, all these guys are ponying up their lawyers to do anything they can to stop it. That's it. That's my comment.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any further discussion? Okay.
I guess I'm unclear as to what we're approving.
The 9P.
Cooperating agency status, I thought.
Well, I know, but we're talking about adding a whereas that was not very clearly articulated as to what we're adding into this resolution.
Nye County Resolution 2012-05.
What did you want added to it, is what he's asking.
I think Daryl's already got it. Another whereas reflecting that we are a sister county.
A neighbor community.
Neighboring community, whatever way you want to put it.
Did that answer your question?
Sister county with who?
Indio.
Inyo.
The project is actually in Inyo County. It's
Yeah.
adjacent to Nye County for several miles along the border. So
Yep.
I can put in there whereas we are a neighboring county and adjacent to the site of the project or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's very good.
Okay.
I just want to make sure the record was clear as to
Yeah,
what was being
okay.
added. to it,
Sorry.
so, yeah.
Good. That was good.
Thank you for that, Brian.
Yeah, good.
Gotta be careful with these.
I know.
resolutions.
Mr. Coons,
We
do I
got
need
these
to-
attorneys, you know.
Do they need to adopt as amended? Approve it? Okay.
Okay.
So we need to,
Do we need to go back and change the motion to say adopt as amended? Or are we okay with how we are?
I'm not sure if that was the motion. I don't know what.
I
The
motion
motion
to
was simply to
approve.
It
approve.
needs to adopt as amended.
I
yes.
take my motion back.
Take the second back.
I'd like to make a motion to approve with the,
Adopt.
You want to amend and adopt,
I want to
Gary.
amend and adopt the resolution.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to amend and adopt the resolution. Is there any further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Is that clear?
Do we need another agenda, another motion to send the letter to the California Energy Commission? Okay, it's all approved, okay. The agenda item is approved, okay.
All right,
Thank you.
Well, nobody argues with me, we're going to move on.
thank you. Next.
Well, I don't know, you got an attorney here, so.
I know, that's what I was looking at him.
He's
Nobody argues.
covering for us, that's what he's doing, he's covering us.
Next,
Are you prepared to go into closed session on the labor yet, or should we hold it? Why don't we do that?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Do you want to go to the timed agenda items? We have Callie Stark here from the Sheriff's Office waiting on the licensing and liquor board.
Oh, we can do that. Okay. Let's go to first we'll go to the Road Commission, the 10:15 agenda item, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Shinhofen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Nye County Road Commission. First item is for possible action, the 10:15 timed item is a public hearing, discussion, deliberation to adopt, amend, and adopt or reject Nye County Road Commission resolutions listed before. We'll open the public hearing. Any public wishing to comment on this? I see none in Pahrump. Any points north? Anything Tonopah? Comment?
No.
Okay. All right, seeing no comments, we'll see if there is a motion.
Motion to adopt.
Have a motion by Commissioner Eastley to adopt, second by Commissioner Boraski. Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye. Opposed? No opposed? Passes 5-0. Number one, for possible action, approval of minutes for the Nye County Board of Road Commissioners meeting January 17th. We'll start with Commissioner Eastley. Any comments? Any corrections?
Thank you, no.
Okay, Commissioner Hollis?
No,
Commissioner Boraski?
No.
Commissioner Wigman? Look for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Commissioner Boraski, second by Commissioner I'm sorry, was that Commissioner Hollis?
No, it was Commissioner Barras.
It was Boraski, second by Commissioner Wickman. Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. 5-0 passes. General public comment. General public comment. Any general public comment? I don't see here any in Pahrump, any in Tonopah, Beatty, anywhere else.
No.
Okay. Item 3, for possible action, general road report, and I see Mr. Fanning is already here and ready to go.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I don't have anything current within the road report, but I do have a couple of updated items that I certainly want to cover with the board. The one being the most important is Black Road job. It will actually have a pre-bid date of actually March the 14th right here in the Board of County Commissioners room. So obviously that will then come in front of the board for approval of award sometime probably the first meeting in April. So we're going to be a month out for that deadline on that Black Road job. The other thing that I would like to point out is NDOT is making the rounds within Pahrump to kick off their road work that they have actually awarded the bid to Aggregate Industries to do the mill and fill on Highway SR 160 and SR 372. That is going to kick off March 1 and run through the end of August of this year. And anything that the board might have questions with, please get with me and I will actually get those comments, questions, concerns to NDOT. NDOT will be housed right here in Pahrump while this job is going off. And the mill and fill is to actually resurface the road on 160 coming in from State Line up to the traffic signal at 372 and then heading out to the actual California-Nevada border. So everybody's aware of what we're doing or what NDOT is going to be doing on that. It will actually have a few traffic concerns, tie-ups within the valley. We have a pre-meeting kickoff next Wednesday in Las Vegas at Aggregate Industries at 9:30 to discuss some of the actual actions or some of the possible issues that we might encounter during this job. So if any of the Board of County Commissioners hears from any constituents, please pass those on to me so I can at least get those concerns, questions answered and actually point out whatever might come your way. So that is something that I definitely want to get out there and actually make the public aware of it as well.
Great.
Dave,
Go ahead, Lisa.
I have a question for you, too. This is a little off the subject, but we're talking about NDOT. So have you received any updates on the shoulder work on 160 north of the middle of town?
I have not, and that email that we were just talking about prior to the meeting, right now, the mill and fill, the grindings that'll come off of 160 and actually 372, we'll go out there and do that. So hopefully next Wednesday in this pre-meeting, we will find out a little bit better detail for how they're going to treat those shoulders with these millings that are coming off the roadway.
Okay, but that's going back into the same areas that they're working on, right?
No, those grindings are actually to try to put a temporary treatment on this. When we did our RSA, road safety audit on our tour, NDOT and actual engineers that are over this area were actually discussing the millings to actually widen out the shoulders of that section of 160. So that has not come to a final decision on how they're going to treat that. So hopefully at this meeting next Wednesday, we will actually have a better idea on when that'll be treated and how it'll be treated and how many feet they're going to do. Mention of 4 feet at this point in time when we actually met in the RSA. So hopefully that'll come out in that meeting.
Thank you.
I will raise that concern though.
Is that a week from tomorrow? Is that what we're saying?
That is correct.
The 29th?
Yes.
Darn it.
9:30 in Las Vegas.
I won't be able to make that.
Aggregate Industries.
But I'll get with you on that.
Okay.
Also, I'm going to jump in here myself. Dave, the Homestead Road, almost there next week possibly? Are we going to see the final 2 inches start?
We are getting down to the final pass, if you will, to connect right into Homestead, or to Gamebird, excuse me.
Right.
The county has had actually a section of the 350 feet in there that was not a part of that contract that we have actually taken on and have actually extended. So that paving should occur by Thursday or Friday of this week. With them prepping, and we're saying right now, that about 2 weeks out before they start the final layer on Homestead.
Okay, and I understand when they do the final layer that they're going to have the road open on one side. They'll do like one lane, so we won't be having the detours.
That is correct. You're going to have some sort of detour depending on where you live and what you are doing.
Right.
The asphalt's got to be placed, it's got to be tacked, so the 2 layers can come together. Obviously, the traffic will actually be not allowed in that area while it's being tacked, so those 2 layers of asphalt can adhere to each other. So obviously, there will be some traffic delays in some given areas depending on where you are.
But we can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, and this obviously is weather dependent on actually this final layer going down. And if it stays like it has been, I think we'll be okay, so.
Great. Commissioner Brasky, do you have anything?
Yes, Dave, you're going to be starting, somebody will be starting dandelion pretty soon. Are you going to run the same problems there about traffic being cut off and have to go around, or are you going to provide, is the contractor going to provide a passable lane to get through while they're working on it?
We will make sure that the contractor does leave one passable lane open. We have had just the pre-bid. We haven't had the award come back in front of the board yet.
Mm-hmm.
We do plan on that award coming back in front of the board the 1st of March for that award. And if the board approves that, then we will move forward. But once we do get down to that final area, we will make sure that we do have at least one lane passable.
Okay.
That upper end right by Napa is going to receive sidewalks on both sides for about 850 feet. That would be the Southwest side and the Napa side. And we're trying to control the flow of water off of SR 160 coming across basically from North Wheeler Pass Road, AutoZone area, if you will. So that's the reason why we have to, kind of maintain and actually have that area pretty well controlled.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Commissioner Hollis, you have anything?
Charleston Park?
I'm sorry?
When are we going to start doing something with Charleston Park out there?
We are actually in approval stages of actually, you guys approved the cold mix bid. We're actually just waiting for the weather to get a little bit nicer for us. We've actually finished up the Gamebird Far West Game Bird job. We actually are now wrapping up the Homestead job. So we actually have a few jobs in front of us. And then we are going to actually start tacking that and actually start prepping Charleston Park. How soon, Commissioner? I can't give you an exact date, but we still have that on our radar screen. So I would say probably the month of March, we'll actually see something out there in that area.
Okay. Commissioner Easley, do you have any?
No, but thank you for asking.
Okay. And Dave, I just like to thank you guys. I think you're doing a great job. And the road report is always interesting reading.
Thank you.
Okay. Nothing else? Good enough for?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Wickens, second by Commissioner Brasky. We are adjourned back to.
And we are back in session, but we are going to recess to the Licensing and Liquor Board.
Thank you. I'd like to open this meeting in Nye County Licensing and Liquor Board Tuesday, February 21st, 2012.
Mr.
Item
Chairman.
1, possible action, approval of the minutes in the Nye County Licensing Liquor Board for January 17th, 2012. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, this is Pam.
Yes.
Sheriff DeMayo notified me this morning that he would not be in attendance today.
Yeah,
So
he
just so
also
you know.
told me yesterday, and I
Okay.
forgot to bring that up, sorry. So we only have 5 board members today. Is there a motion on the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Shinhoff and a second by Commissioner Wickman. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes 5-0. General public comment, 3 time limit per person, requested to be limited to items not listed on the agenda. Any general public comment in Tonopah, Beatty, Pahrump? Closed general public comment. Before I go to the consent agenda, I've got a comment to make. There was a group of us working on these 72-hour permits, and because I believe some people may be taking advantage of the system. Pam, I'd like to reorganize that board and make a final decision to bring back to the board about amending the 72-hour permit. Okay? There's people that are on here for 20 applications, 22 applications. To me, they should be getting a regular liquor license to cover that, so. Consent
Commissioner
agenda.
Boraski?
Yes.
I've done a little research on this. We're actually the only county in the state of Nevada that approves 72-hour permits. Everybody else, they go through the sheriff's office.
Well, if you'd like to.
No, I'm not
Okay.
suggesting anything. It was just an observation.
Okay, thank you. Consent agenda. Any items to be removed?
Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, I just have a question on, I guess it's 3F.
F?
Yeah.
You want to pull that one?
Sure.
Okay. What about the rest?
Motion to approve items 3B through E.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wickman, a second by Commissioner Shinhoff. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 5-0, and we'll go to item F. For possible action, 72-hour permit for Pahrump Valley Speedway. Commissioner Shinhoffen.
Thank you. I have 2 questions. They already have a bar, so they have a permit. So I guess they're going to be selling outside the bar on the property. But I guess my biggest question is, one of the dates is February 18th. Yeah, we're the 21st today.
Yeah.
So I just wondered if we just leave that in and approve it.
Well, I guess
post-haste.
they're asking us to make it legal, so.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Shinhoff and a second by Commissioner Wickman. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 5-0. Nothing for brothels under gaming. 5A, discussion and deliberation to issue a gaming license to Golden Gaming, Inc., a slot route company in Las Vegas.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Hollis, second by Commissioner Shinhoffen. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes 5-0. Item 6, liquor. 6A, possible action, discussion, deliberation of a change of licensee for the minor saloon, 422 West Main Street, Manhattan.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve based on staff's recommendation.
Thank you. We got a motion approved by Commissioner Eastley, a second by Commissioner Wickman,
Sure,
or vice versa, I guess?
it doesn't matter.
Okay. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It passes 5-0. Item B, discussion deliberation of a change of licensee for the Nevada National Security Site, John F. Sullivan.
Motion
Oh,
to,
wait a minute, do we really want to give them a license, or?
motion approved based on staff recommendation.
Second.
I was just being funny, Madam Chair.
I recognized it, Gary.
Right.
All those in favor, let's see, we got a motion by Commissioner Shinhoff and a second by Commissioner Wickman. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? And item 7,
Motion to adjourn.
we are adjourned. Back to you.
Okay, we are going to return to the regular agenda. We are on, can we take a few minutes to go into our labor closed session?
Sure. I don't got a
So
problem.
I need a motion.
We have a motion to go into closed?
I think
Where are we doing that?
read it into the record.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't. Do I? What do I need to read? Closure of meeting pursuant to?
Yeah.
All of that? Everybody has an agenda in their hand, they can't read?
All right, we're going.
NRS 288.220, for purposes of conferring with the county's management representatives regarding labor negotiations, issues, and other personnel matters. So we'll be in closed session for a few minutes, folks.
Motion going close.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're in closed session.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Yeah, you bet.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Next item was pulled, so we'll move to 23C for possible action. Discussion, deliberation, and decision regarding the RFQ 2012-23.
Oh.
Anybody have
And
anything?
Pam, Pahrump Utilities is?
Sorry.
The Hafen Utility?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, motion to approve.
Second.
How about motion to award based
Motion.
on staff's recommendation?
Motion to award?
Yeah,
I thought we were, okay,
Yes.
correct. Motion to,
to Far West Engineering.
motion to award to Far West Engineering, need a staff recommendation. Thank you.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Yes, on this item as well, I would like to see recommendations from the Water Board. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes
I
5-0.
have not changed my position.
4-1, okay. Thank you, Joni.
Thank you.
Item 23D, discussion and deliberation to select Ion Fire Protection Engineering Corporation as the lowest, most responsible bidder. Da-da-da. Be funded from.
Motion to approve contract to Ion Fire Protection Engineering, staff recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0. Item 25A, do we have, she hasn't made it here yet. Okay, Danelle.
Well, we have 10:45 if you want.
Can't
Yes,
we
do.
just,
Yes, we do.
I think, I don't,
do we really have to have a lot of discussion on 25D?
I don't
Or
know.
I mean,
but
on
she-
25A?
She indicated she would be headed down here as soon as she saw us get to the item. Let's go to our 10:45 timed agenda item. This is a public hearing for discussion and deliberation to adopt, amend and adopt, or reject Nye County Bill 2012-01, a bill proposing to amend Title 15, Chapter 15.32, Article 1, Section 15.32.080 through 15.32-100 of the Nye County Code, and this is related to impact fees and options for payments for those impact fees. I'll open the public hearing. And Mr. DeCanio, I believe you wanted to speak on this item.
Yeah.
Yes, my name's Louis DeCanio, and I had spoken earlier, and I'm a businessman, or I was a former businessman, and I have seen what these impact fees have done to our community here. I've lived here for 9 years. When I got to this community was a bustling community. Things were going great, business, people had jobs. It seems like as soon as you put in the impact fees, things started going downhill. Now, as a businessman, when you do something and it don't work, you don't keep doing it. You change it. It's that simple. We don't have the only game in town out here, out in Pahrump. They can go to other towns. They could go to Vegas. They could go to North Las Vegas. We lost that shrimp farm recently, which spent, I think, $2 million building their facility. They employ 25 to 30 people with livable wage jobs. Well, they're in North Las Vegas now. They came here first. Now, I've heard stories about, the price of the land went up. But if we didn't have impact fees, they'd be here. And that's just one of many. Now, the bottom line is we've got an enormous amount of home foreclosures. You know why? Because you can't pay a mortgage when you don't have a job. We started off this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. We got veterans sleeping in the desert because they don't have jobs. They can't support themselves. We got families with children doing the same thing. Our focus should be to bring business here so that people can get livable wage jobs. You can't expect some light business or industry to come here and the first things out of your mouth is, well, this is what you got to do. This is the money you got to give us. They just turn around and go someplace else. You've got to make it, give them a reason to come here. Say, you know, that's a good reason. It's almost like we have casinos. If you had one casino, they could make all the rules, but being that you've got different casinos, they've got to offer incentives to bring people in there. That's what we have to do as a community. We got to give business a reason to come here. It's that simple. And as soon as we create jobs here through business, that will create that cycle of money that we need with the people earning a livable wage. They're out paying their mortgage. They're out spending it in all these other stores. That's why we have a lot of small businesses that are closing. You know why? Because people don't have money to spend in these small businesses. The bottom line, the impact fees, well, I don't know how to put this bluntly, but I was born and raised in Chicago. And when you went into an area and you opened up a business, between the street gang and the mafia, they tried to extort money from you. That was called a street tax. Basically, that's no different than what you're doing out here. You're telling somebody that comes out here, you want to do business in our area, you have to give us an impact fee. It's just another word for extortion as far as I'm concerned. Let the business come. Business is, the business in this country is what made our country great. When I grew up, we had a big working class of people in the middle. We had a lot of business. We had small bureaucracy at the top. Now it got inverted. We got big bureaucracy and small business. That's why we're all screwed up here. You let business come here, let them spend their money and invest in our community, and our community will be a much better place. All I'm telling you is, do this community a favor, eliminate the impact fees. I agree there has to be a certain amount of rules for new businesses, but those impact fees are just ridiculous. If somebody would have told me that I had to pay an impact fee when I started my business back in Chicago, I couldn't have done it. The bottom line, you eliminate a lot of new business and livable wage jobs with these impact fees. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. DeCanio. Is there any other comments on this? Anybody else want to speak for or against this item? Joni, do you have anyone up there who wants to speak?
No.
No. And I don't see Beatty and Amargosa, but I'm assuming they're in there. They'd let us know if they wanted to speak, right? Okay. Anyone here? Last chance. Okay, I'm going to close the public meeting.
Madam Chairman,
Commissioners,
I'd like to make a motion.
Just a second.
Okay.
Please, just a second. I do have a comment.
Okay.
I do too.
I am for two things. Mr. DeCanio, I would like to direct this at you because maybe there's a misunderstanding about impact fees. When any kind of growth comes in or a development comes in, they have a cost associated with it, and Nye County is required to provide certain things, which means the taxpayer pays for it. I am all for this in here. What has been changed in here is an opportunity for them to finance their impact fees and to be more lenient with that. I really like that. The other thing I would like to see in here is something that is for, or I would like to encourage, a critical review of what the impact fees are when they are established for an incoming business. However, placing a one-year moratorium on the imposition of impact fees, the only way I would vote for that is if you could guarantee me that you were going to place a one-year moratorium on the impacts. Because if you don't, if you don't, that means if someone wants to build a new casino or a hotel here in Pahrump, that part of the payment for that is coming out of Smoky Valley, out of Railroad Valley, out of Tonopah. The developer is not paying for those impacts. It is then the taxpayer. Everybody sitting in here, everybody who lives in Nye County, is picking up the cost of helping a company get started. We don't have the money to go out and build the infrastructure to put everybody into a business. That's not our business. We are supposed to be watching out for the taxpayers' money. Now, on the other hand, the great incentives are, there are places, even here in the Pahrump Valley, where infrastructure is already in place, so the impacts should be minimal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an incentive. There are places in Nye County that they don't have to do, there are places here in Nye County that are available for certain types of businesses that wouldn't require the same impact fees as what you'd have to pay here in Pahrump to get hooked up to services. But growth needs to pay for growth. Critical review of what those impact fees are is absolutely essential, and this is dynamite by offering them a way to finance those impact fees. I think you've done a fantastic job, Butch. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Shinhofen.
I've been in favor of trying to, put a moratorium for some time, but this will, if we, 15.32.090, number 7, says it gives them 1 year, and if they're not built out in a year, that the permit goes away. If you're gonna do that, I just don't know about giving it just 1 year. If you do it, you take the fee out, or the permit out, and they don't get done in a year, this says that it's gonna expire and they have to take a new permit out. So I'm not really thrilled with that. The other thing this is gonna do is gonna get rid of the impact fees, but you're still gonna have the traffic study, you're still gonna have the flood control, you're gonna have all the fees that are associated with public works, and that is a lot higher than what the impact fees are. So it's a good start. I'm sorry, it looks like Mr. Kunze wants to say something.
Madam Chair, if I may?
Please.
Because I did want to specifically address what Commissioner Shinhofen just said. And when I reviewed this, I do believe the second sentence under paragraph 7 should be stricken because that is in conflict with.
Where are you, Brian?
On paragraph 7.
Tell me what page or.
Unfortunately, it's not on pages. It's, I'm sorry, it's under the exemptions.
Oh, under the exemptions. Okay, number 7?
Number 7, where it says that if construction is not completed within 1 year of issuance, then the permit goes away, expires. That's in conflict with our other provisions with regarding permits. I don't think it's appropriate to do that. I don't think the permit goes away. The exemption goes away, and they owe the impact fees. So I too think that legally I have a problem with the fact that that's conflicting with other provisions with regarding permits, and I think we have to change that last sentence.
And Brian.
Mine doesn't say that anyway.
Well, and I think what happened, Commissioner Eastley, was that there's been a lot of changes, suggestions that came in, and my office was told to incorporate those changes. And again, there was a section that came in that talked about if construction is not completed within 1 year of issuance of the building permit expires, and the builder must obtain a new building permit and pay any applicable impact fee. And I'm saying that is in conflict with other code provisions, and I think we need to be careful of that.
And that's under what?
Yeah, and
7, but I can't even find it.
15.32.90 exemptions.
oh no, yeah, 090, and mine does say that. I have a corrected copy that was left on my desk, so the backup does not say that, but
Yeah, that's
my
correct.
markup does. My markup says that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this was a markup, and again, I do have problems with that recent addition, because it does create a conflict, I think, with other permit requirements. So it's
Madam
one,
Chair?
it's one
Yes.
thing
Oh,
to, okay,
sorry.
yeah, so it's just one thing to say that they lose the exemption if they don't complete their construction in 1 year, but to say they lose their permit, I think would be inappropriate.
Commissioner Eastley.
I had some comments prepared that basically mirrored your own. I am well aware of what the purpose of impact fees are, and the purpose is so that the taxpayers are not unduly burdened with the expense of mitigating the impacts of development as they are placed on the community. We don't want taxpayers to have to pay to put roads into a development, regardless of how many people they're employing. What I want to know is what the law of unintended consequences are for providing for a year or for a moratorium on impact fees. As you said, and I completely agree with, we would be placing a moratorium on impact fees, but not on growth. And that's exactly what I have written here. If we can guarantee that there's no growth that's going to take place in the Pahrump Valley, I get that. I would understand then the moratorium on impact fees. I have 2 questions that I need answered. Mark White, I believe, is still under contract to us, Pam?
Yes, he is.
And I had spoken with him several times when this issue came up a couple of years ago, and it was his legal opinion that we do not offer moratoriums on impact fees for a variety of reasons, but predominantly the reasons in his mind were legal issues that revolved around developers who have already paid impact fees and continue to pay them as they pull building permits. Have we run this by Mark White?
Not in its new format, no.
Okay, and then my final question, Madam Chair, is does this ordinance apply to the holders of all development agreements with Nye County in the Pahrump Regional Planning District as they pull building permits on active projects? Will this moratorium apply to them?
Great question.
Daryl, can you?
And those might be,
Thought-provoking?
never mind, I had a brain cramp.
Thought-provoking, Commissioner Eastley? I think that's what those are.
Madam Chairman?
Commissioner Hollis?
Well, that's why Mark White is under contract to us. He is recognized as an expert in the field of development agreements and impact fees, and I want to get the most benefit we can out of our relationship with him. I'm sorry, Commissioner Hollis, I walked on you. Go right ahead.
Commissioner Hollis, you
Thank
have
you,
the
dear.
floor. You have the floor.
I support the cleaning up of this ordinance, and I'm fully aware that this is in Pahrump. We don't have impact fees in any place else in Nye County. We don't enforce any building codes in any place outside of Pahrump. We don't have any zoning outside of Pahrump. We don't have the right to development agreements outside of Pahrump unless they go along with it.
We do have
We don't have the right to ask for conditional use permits. So, there is taxpayers paying for infrastructure outside of the county also, and the people building homes in other places are not paying for the impact that they're putting on. So, I'm for making this county-wide myself. If we're gonna pay impact fees in Pahrump, then we should be paying impact fees in Tonopah and other places also. And
Commissioner Hollis, with all due respect, the reason that these ordinances have been put in place is because there was explosive growth in Pahrump while the rest of the county was declining in population and economic opportunities.
Yes, and I foresee
apples and oranges.
Madam Chair,
Please, go ahead.
I recognize that also, but the whole thing of it is everybody believed that when we did the zoning here in Pahrump that it was going to be the Bible of land use planning. They didn't understand that there was going to be numerous ordinances to support that zoning ordinance, and I mean landscaping, parking, impact fees. And when this stuff started coming down on their backs, they didn't understand that it was going to cost them a whole lot more money to do business in Nye County and to build a home. So I don't know today if zoning would pass if it was put on the ballot. I believe that we're trying to clean up some of these ordinances to make them where they're not as restrictive. But right now, we should be enforcing the building and safety codes throughout the whole county. That's not just an ordinance for Pahrump. We should be enforcing those building and safety codes throughout the county. And I have had discussions with the district attorney, and I just got a letter saying that when we signed on to the with the fire marshal, that we were saying that we would enforce the 2006 building codes, international building codes, which we are not doing. So I'm working with the district attorney to look at that.
Commissioner Hollis, this needs to be on
Yes,
impact
yes,
fees.
well-
Your comments need to be about this.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
I'm through.
The Tonopah Town Manager would like to address the board. James Eason.
Then I will open up the public hearing again. Can I do that? I did that. I opened up the
you can
public
do
hearing.
You're the
Okay.
chairperson. You're the boss.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
James Eason, for the
Go-
record,
Go ahead, James, you have the floor.
EASON. Just a couple of things I just wanted to clarify. There are building requirements throughout Nye County. If they have not been adopted by the Nye County Board of Commissioners, you automatically defer to the NRSs. And if Darrell is in the audience, he can step up and say if I
However-
misinterpret anything, is that we do have an MOU in place with Charles Abbott.
Madam Chair, we should
James-
not be discussing
James,
code. Yeah.
please.
I want to just tie to the relevance of this is that going back to the impact fees and Commissioner Hollis' statement of making them county-wide, I think what needs to be pointed out is that there are things that we do throughout the whole county that is uniformed, and that's why I want to address that one. But these impact fees benefit only the people in Pahrump. They benefit the sheriff's office, they benefit the fire department, they benefit the parks and rec and the town. So if we want to go and start looking at impact fees, then these fees would stay within the town of Tonopah, stay within the town of Round Mountain, stay within the town of Amargosa, etc. So please be aware, these benefit Pahrump. And I'm not here to say one way or the other they're good or bad. I just wanted to clarify for the record that there are requirements throughout this county that are the same in Pahrump as they are up here or outside of Pahrump. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, James, and I do understand that.
Madam Chair,
Okay, public hearing is closed again. Commissioner Shinhofen?
I would I'd like to have our lawyer, Mr. White, I'd like to hear from him on this. Like I said, I've been in favor of some kind of moratorium, but again, it's not going to solve all those problems. And I do want to briefly say, we did everything we could for the shrimp farm. It wasn't the county that sent them away. Thank you.
Thank you.
My turn.
Darrell, do you have something you'd like to add?
We have been working on this project now for over a year under the direction of our prior county manager. We had been attempting to come up with some ordinances that would encourage job growth and allow the Board of County Commissioners to pay for the impact fees under a different form based on job growth. But as working with the attorneys White and Smith, I mean, it gets to be a very complicated situation. And my understanding from Commissioner Boraski was that the whole intent of this one-year moratorium was to give us a temporary respite while we have an opportunity to fix some of the issues within our current ordinances to make it more business friendly. We have, as was mentioned by the commissioners this morning, there are a lot of issues in paying for growth. Growth at some level needs to pay for itself. There are other places that take a different approach, maybe going through bonding to pay for infrastructure and then increase the property taxes to pay for it. There's the use of special improvement districts, tax increment financing. There's lots of other ways to potentially pay for the growth, but Nye County chose in the Pahrump Regional Planning District when, in all respects, we were trying to catch a tiger by the tail. Things were kind of crazy here back during the day when growth was hitting here, and the impact fees were the chosen method to try and address that, as well as other ordinances which require the developer or builder to pay for their direct impacts. The impact fees are kind of for regional impacts. Direct fees are also required to be paid, but they're not called impact fees. They're the flood control or traffic studies that would drive improvements to roads and intersections. So those are things that can be directly measured on the impact of a specific development. The changes that are proposed here today would not address any of those. Those things would still be there. It would be the impact fees, which, as Steve Osborne has presented to this board in an earlier presentation, our impact fees actually are not out of line with other places, and in most respects we're lower than most of our other jurisdictions in the Southern Nevada area. If the board chooses to, in coordination with the district attorney, to give a moratorium, it's our intent to continue to find during this one-year moratorium an opportunity to work with the district attorney's office and our outside counsel to find a different type of approach. If we do come back with impact fees, we have some ideas on how to maybe identify some areas where they could be reduced or eliminated based on existing infrastructure needs. And those are things that we can bring back to the board.
Darrell?
Yes, ma'am.
So that everybody understands exactly what the components are of impact fees, what areas specifically benefit from the imposition of those fees?
Don't have them all in front of me right now, but there's
fire, parks.
Roads. The roads and school district are your biggest ones. Then you have sheriff's department, parks, and fire.
Yeah, and fire. Okay, thank you.
As Mr. Lacy,
Yes, sir.
if we didn't have the impact fees ordinance, could not we do this by development agreement?
Well, in general, development agreements are a voluntary alternative to a conditional use
Here in
permit.
Pahrump, they're not volunteer.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not. You can ask any developer, and they'll do the development agreement. Outside of Pahrump, you can't ask them.
Well, in Pahrump, we have specific requirements for conditional use permits, and in most cases, it's the development agreement is something that the developer.
Could you not ask for $1,000 for roads? Don't we ask for $100 a building or a house for sheriff's department? Don't we ask for parks and development agreement?
And Commissioner Hollis, if I could help with that, a development agreement requires 2 signatures, one on either side, and both parties have to agree.
Understand
An
that.
ordinance is the requirement. The impact fee ordinance is a rule. The development agreement is an
Well,
agreement between 2 parties.
You wasn't here when this impact fee ordinance came, but I can assure you that the commissioners did not get the information, at least I did not understand it to be for every single body that was doing a house or building a church. It was for developers. We only got into this when the Home Builders Association decided they were going to sue us if we didn't make it everybody having to pay it. So I would have never went for it if I could have understood it that way. But anyway, Commissioner Boraski, go ahead.
Well, thanks.
But in response to your last comment, Commissioner, many of these smaller projects, individual homes, small commercial businesses do not have development agreements. Development agreements are typically only done under large developments.
That's what I was talking about, the large developer, not the little one. But that's the reason we had an impact fee ordinance in the first place, was for people like Beezer, Concordian, Celebrate, Focus, Mountain Falls.
Okay, that's.
Madam Chair, we keep getting off on development agreements, and we're here on impact fees.
Exactly.
Now, can I have the floor, please?
It is yours.
I've probably done as much or as more researched more information on this than I think anybody else. Maybe not, but I originally had asked staff way back when, and they brought me pie charts and things like that meant nothing. I did contact several communities in Florida. There is some background out there that I believe 17 counties in Florida put moratoriums or disallowed impact fees, whatever language you want to use. Some of them put them back, others have not. Some of the language that I was reading in there was perception. And those communities were concerned that perceptions that the county is not taking any action to resolve this problem, and more harmful than sitting on your hands. Many comments about impact fees killing growth in the area. This was once, this would once and for all prove that if we did a one-year moratorium, that whether it did anything or not, at least we'd be trying to do something. Therefore, I'd make a motion, number one, to amend and adopt this resolution and place a one-year moratorium on impact fees and to direct staff to look into bringing back an agenda item on payment plans, zones that could be applied for lesser or lower, higher or lower rates, revisit the fees themselves to see if some of them need to be higher or lower, and also would make a lesser cost to developers or builders. That and the changes as follows, because they did come from the DA's office. On item 1532080, time of payment, there was "and paid" was deleted, and added was after impact fee or execute an impact fee payment agreement with the county. Item 7 be stricken totally from 1532090. On 1532100, after it says building payment or new development shall pay or execute an agreement to pay. I know this is relevant to payment plans, but we'll get it in there when we can.
Commissioner Boraski?
No,
He's not complete
I'm not
yet.
done yet,
Okay.
so please don't interrupt me. Okay, with those changes.
Second.
Commissioner Boraski?
I have a motion and a second.
I would second with an amendment.
Gary seconded.
Gary.
Oh, Gary, you did second it.
Any further discussion?
Yes.
Commissioner Shinhoff.
You just said you wanted to strike number 7 under 15.32.090.
Yeah.
And that is the moratorium for the year on development fees, isn't it?
The first sentence says, yes, that's correct.
Yeah, well, he said strike number
I
7
agree.
completely. Did you
Oh,
want to
that would
strike
get-
number
that
7
would get
completely?
That would get my vote.
Did you want to strike 7 completely or just the second sentence? Because that's
Which one are you referring to?
15.32.090, exemptions, number 7. You said to strike the entire item. Did you mean to strike just the second sentence? Which would make the building permit, just the second sentence?
That date would have to be changed on that to today's date and 2013 on the year.
But what about you had said to strike the whole thing, that's why I'm
Well,
saying.
yeah, and I'm sorry, there needs to be a change in there to cover that, so that is a one-year period.
Okay, but the second sentence that would make the issuance of the building permit also go away, that was what the DA said there was trouble with that. He was saying just strike the second sentence. Because they'd have to reapply for a whole new building permit if that sentence was in.
That's what he wants in there.
No, let me clarify here.
Please.
Okay.
I don't want anything in here.
Okay.
These are, I don't make policy decisions. These were changes that were sent to us, and we were asked to put it in there because that's what was being recommended. I'm telling you that recommendation creates legal problems because it creates a conflict with other code provisions that deal with how long a building permit may be exercised. So again, if you want the one-year moratorium, you have to leave the first sentence in. And I understand that the changes he's talking about.
Yes.
But I'm saying that if you're going to leave number 7 in, I am strongly recommending that you take away the second sentence so you don't create a conflict with other code provisions.
That was my clarification. That's what I was asking Commissioner Boraski, if he wanted to do that.
Remove the second sentence or
Yes, just the second sentence.
to replace, oh, okay, I'm sorry, yeah, that one would have to be removed, obviously. The replacement of a destroyed or partially is that what you're talking about?
No.
No, you're talking
Under the
about number
exemptions,
7?
15.32.090.
This one right here. If construction is not completed within 1 year or in terms of building permit, the building permit expires.
Yeah.
You want that taken out?
Yes.
So the motion then is to take out the second sentence, but to leave the first part of number 7, because the motion was to take out all of number 7. That's what I wanted cleared, because I could support that. Or not.
All right.
Commissioner Boraski, do you
Yes.
still have the floor?
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
Yes. We're just giving him a minute to read it.
Yeah.
Commissioner
Boraski.
Wickman, can I ask a question while he's
Please.
studying that?
Please.
It's a question for Pam. Pam, what would the budgetary impacts be for fire and the school district and other political subdivisions within the county, like the town of Pahrump?
Last year, the income from impact fees was quite low because building was so low. The school district
Okay,
only, The school district only brought in $6,000 last year.
Okay, so these are not necessarily income figures that are budgeted because we have no way of predicting where they're going to come in. Is that correct?
Correct, and they would not be used for operating costs. They would typically be used for special projects.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair.
Back to you, Commissioner Boraski.
Yes, under item 7, leave the first sentence and remove if constructed. If the second sentence, which says if construction is not completed within 1 year issuance of building permit, the building permit expires and the builder must obtain a new building permit. I think that sentence it could create headaches.
Okay, Sam, have you got the whole motion?
I believe we do, but I think you need to amend it if you're going to change that
Yes,
original motion. Thank you.
and I did.
I'll amend my second.
Okay. I would amend my motion to reflect that.
Do you have everything you need, Sam? Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye.
Commissioner Wickman?
Yes.
I do want to, I'm going to vote in favor of this out of respect for my colleagues, but I do want a statement read into the record. And that is, while I am supporting my colleagues on this issue, I want to make it perfectly clear that with the moratorium in place, if there are any impacts of development that are caused as a result of, any impacts as a result of development in Pahrump, that it is made perfectly clear that Nye County is not going to be laying out one penny for roads or any other kind of infrastructure as a result of this development.
And are you sure that we are not required to do that by the laws? Joni?
I don't know, because I wanted Mark White to review this, and apparently there's no appetite from my colleagues to do that. So I have several legal questions. I already told you what they are. I don't want to be seen as not supporting something that my colleagues want or that they think is good for the town of Pahrump. I'm voting in favor of it. I'm not convinced that it's the right thing to do. I have questions about some legal issues, including those developers who already have agreements with us.
Brian?
If I may comment, I think probably just about a year ago now, I think, Mr. White prepared a long memorandum with regards to this issue. I think the board, has had it. We've had discussions about it, and largely his objections to this was not legal. It was more of a policy question as to the problems with doing away with impact fees or doing moratoriums. The problem is that if you accept the rationale that you can't do a moratorium for fear of getting sued, is basically suggesting that you can't even do away with impact fees if you choose to do away with impact fees, and that's an absolutely ridiculous proposition to suggest that you can't do away with impact fees once you put them in. And to accept his rationale, you would have to accept that proposition. And he offers zero legal support other than the fact that, well, you might get sued. But if you really look at his opinion, where his opinion goes to the core of what you've just talked about, Commissioner Easley, from the standpoint of there are statutory requirements that impact fees be spent within 5 or 10 year period after they're collected, and if they are not collected, then those impact fees have to be refunded. So the thing is, no developer or a person who's paid impact fees can have any argument whatsoever if the impact fees that they paid are going to the capital improvement project that they were intended to go to. That's what their impact fees are designed to do. But if the moratorium or the withdrawal of the impact fees prevents the county from gaining really enough funds to do the capital improvement projects that are caused by the impact, then obviously you're creating a situation in which ultimately those impact fees are going to have to be refunded with interest if those projects aren't done. That's not really a legal issue, and again, it gets away from, and again, I think his opinion was very nondescript with, oh, there might be a potential problem if you do away with impact fees or put a moratorium because those people might be able to sue you. And I just don't believe that there's any legal basis for that portion of it. Because again, it's like, there's a lot of jurisdictions that have had impact fees and they've done away with impact fees. And that's not really the complaint that can be made. But there is a potential problem if the funds aren't spent in the time periods required because you don't have enough money to do those. And that's where you're going to create some potential financial problems down the road.
Yeah, Madam Chair?
Well,
I appreciate that, Brian. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Barras.
And the school did previously vote to rescind their rooftop fee, did they not?
If I could comment on that too, we keep talking about the school impact fees. That has nothing to do with this ordinance.
Right.
The school construction,
Yes, right.
the school construction tax is an entirely different, and it's not part of this impact fee.
Okay, and Commissioner Boraski has something he'd like to say.
Yes, two things. I've talked to Tyson and White twice. Once they said there was no problem with doing it at all, and then the next time I talked to them, they said, yes, there was. And I agree with Mr. Coonsey on this, that their basis for what we're paying them for, I'm not too sure if they can give me one answer one time and another time that would, what the heck we're paying them for to begin with. Number two, in our ordinance, it does state that this should be amended from time to time, or some language to that effect. And I think that's exactly what we're offering to do here, and then I call for the question.
The question has already been called for. We already have a vote.
Yes.
It
Yes.
passes. It passes 4-1. The dissenting vote was from your chairman, and I like to show solidarity with my colleagues, and for that, Joni, I appreciate your vote. However, you're forcing me into throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because in one respect, you've asked me to vote on 2 items that I think are absolutely wonderful: the opportunity to finance and the critical review. And in my position, I cannot vote for something that is going to help with growth in one area of the county at the expense of every single taxpayer in the county.
In the other part of the county?
Everywhere in the county, every taxpayer.
What's built here reflects them.
It has been, what's built here, okay, we're not going to go drag this on any longer. We're going to move on to our other items so that we can get on with business and out of here. So that did pass 4-1, Sam. And we are up to 25A, which is HR for possible action.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and 2 seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? That's 5-0. Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Sorry, that's so long. We move on to, do we have planning items?
Yes, we do.
11 o'clock timed.
Okay, we're going to move to the 11 o'clock planning items. And item 1 is ex parte communications and conflict of interest disclosure statements. Does anyone have any of those?
No.
None? Okay, we'll move on to number 2. For possible action, public hearing, discussion, deliberation, and possible decision on a request for the approval of the following planning and zoning matters. I'll open this public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak for or against item A1 or 2? Anyone there, Joni?
No, there sure isn't.
Okay. I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I have some questions, Madam Chair.
Please go ahead.
This was passed by the RPC, and on the zone change, no conditions, and it was passed 5-1. And on the conditional use permit, there was a vote against the conditional use permit, and I spoke to that board member, wondered why. In the conditional use permit, it calls out for only 2 moving lanes of traffic, or pavement, 2 moving lanes of pavement. My problem with this project is the traffic this thing's going to generate is going to need a lot more than 2 moving lanes of traffic. I know there's going to be a traffic study, and they'll have to comply with that. This parcel was approved, I think, 3 years ago, but it was for a shopping center. It wasn't for a mobile home park. Am I correct on that?
No, it was approved for an RV park.
Well, that was after I left the board then, I believe. I was on the planning commission when it came first.
I think originally it was a shopping center. They came back again and got an RV
It
park.
came back after I was gone. It was an RV park. All right. I just have concerns about this amount of traffic going in there. That's my, if you have something to say on that, fine. If not.
If I could just say, you're correct, a traffic study will be required, and they'll have to meet all the recommendations in the traffic study if they have to do intersection improvements, traffic signals, all of those things will be analyzed.
Right.
And who gets to pay for it now?
Well, that's
the
the developer.
The developer will pay for the traffic study.
That is not the impact fees. That is the traffic study.
Right, that's separate from the impact fees.
That's something I was trying to make clear to some of the other people who thought that was going to clear up all those fees. But in the conditional use permit, it says 2 moving lanes of asphalt. So I don't want this developer to be coming back screaming at the papers and everybody saying that we're holding him up and extorting him. And, you know, not that he would. I'm not saying he's gonna. I'm just saying that in the development agreement, it says 2 moving lanes, and I mean in the conditional use permit. But, you know, we have to have the traffic study. And that was my concern with it.
Madam Chair, I'd follow staff's recommendation. I motion to approve ZC 11-0013 and CU-11-0016 as per the recommendation of the RPC.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0.
Stated my concerns, that's all.
That takes us to
34.
34. And that is general public comment. Is there any, I'm sorry.
You know what? We had an 11:15 presentation. Did that get pulled?
Yes, it did.
Okay, thank you.
Item 34 is general public comment. This is limited to 3 minutes and also directed to be for items that are not on the agenda. Is there any further public comment? Anybody up there, Joni?
No, there's nobody left.
Okay. All right,
Here.
I'm going to close public comment. Or I'm going to go on to the next item, which is announcements. Are there any other announcements?
Yes, Madam Chair. I will be on KNYE Radio on first Thursday in March, and I will be only speaking on my own behalf and will not, I'll make that quite clear at least 3 or 4 times through the
You gonna ask permission?
permission. I'm not going to ask anybody's permission.
He doesn't have a boss.
I can react on my own behalf whenever I want, Commissioner,
48,000.
as long as I state that fact. Thank you.
Any other announcements?
Yeah, Madam Chair. Fifth Annual Acoustic Grass Music Festival should be May 11th through the 13th. We're planning to have it here at the I, if we can work out all the other legal problems or whatever else to cover that. There'll be a car show May 5th at the corner of Kellogg and Quarter Horse. Sugar Show, it'll be the first time they do that. And also, I did want to mention that I'm going to be bringing back again, and I should have said it earlier, the design guidelines. I need to meet with the staff on that again to look at the design guidelines and see our design guidelines that are approved, that are part of our, anyway. Thank you.
Any other announcements? I will entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Hey, I have 5 of them. I guess we're adjourned.
What? What are you looking at? You want more?
He wants your,
I am what?
You want more?
he wants your permission to go on K-9 Radio.
No, he doesn't.
12:30 every